Hey everyone, welcome to the head series, and this episode we'll learn how to do eyes. Eyes will be really simple if you recognize these parts. But before that, thank you for everyone that joined our family. So the eyes is this sphere in the skull. So we have here big hole, and in this hole you will see the eyes in it. And we have these parts. We can start with drawing a leaf like this and this leaf, and actually this is the eyelid, and you recognize the eyelid is out of the eye, it's around the eye, that's why you can see it here. Second thing you recognize, eyes isn't a straight like here, it isn't like that, it's in the skull, it's around the skull, so you can see actually the eye from here. One really important part, this part that you see is actually the hole in the skull itself, and the gap between it and the eye, you will see this part. And you'll see the same part here, cause this part doesn't have any meat under it or anything, that's why it's really weak, cause it's the same, cause the circle of the eye isn't that big, it's just like this size, and this gap will be, this gap specifically will be really weak, and this gap will have the skin, and in a lot of times, especially in males, you recognize this gap get in front of the eyelid, but it's still there. And the eyelid of course have different types, and the Asian type eye, you recognize they don't have the eyelid. This part actually in front of the eyelid, but they still of course have the eyelid, but it's under this skin. So any Asian eye like Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, they won't have this kind of eyelid, they will have this part, and cause it's still they have the eyelid but it's under the skin, so it will be like that. So you have to recognize parts that we said now, the two parts like leaves, up and down, and this part and this part under the eyes. It can be really obvious if you just recognize these parts. Now we'll make the eye, cause I want to make a really quick point tip, cause the eyes actually have two layers, it's not just one layer. Just we have to surround the eye with the eyelid, it's like that, it's like that. We just duplicate it and mirror it, and voila, we have the eyes, it's like that. So there is important tips. The eyes actually will duplicate it, cause the eyes is two layers. One layer is like a mirror, like a glass, percent opacity, so you can see through it and you can't even recognize there is anything there, but there is actually something there. And in this layer will be in front of the eye, in this part actually will have some bob up, and it can do a lot of work in the vision in the eye. This part, this layer will have a lot of transformation and opacity, and you can see through it actually. And in this part actually the eye have like this part isn't flat, it's here, it's like here we have like this circle, and in this circle we have this part that we can see black in any eye color, cause actually this black is a hole into the skull, that's how you can see. So it doesn't matter which color you have here, let's make a color, it doesn't matter which color you have here, if it's blue, if it's brown, green, anything, cause this part will be, doesn't matter which color, will be black, cause actually it's a hole in the eye, that's how you can transform any image to something you can recognize in your mind. So basically once you recognize this point, you can do the eye in any kind of type of character. Anime or cartoons, you'll have simple kind of eyes, but they still have the same rules, but they simplify it. So you can actually make an eye just here to recognize what I'm talking about, and create a blank leaf here and there, and bob it up, because we have actually gap here between eye and the nose. This will to be there. Bob up this top and down side here and there, and like I said, in this gap we have skin here, and it have other texture, and in a lot of time in men especially you recognize it's in front of the eyelid, and in women it's just here. It doesn't have the same specifically part here, but they will have here this big part in female. And of course, like I said, our eyes isn't flat, it's round the face, so you can see the eye in the eyelid here. And if we made the same eye here, like here, so you can see actually the eye from the side. So you recognize some specific other points. Of course, we made this part, and this part will have a gap. So we have in here a gap. Here's like that, and you recognize this part have a gap. Eye isn't that small until you recognize the parts. It's really easy once you recognize the parts. And like I said, we have here, it's around the skull, and cause it's a sphere, it's not a face, so you won't recognize this point until you make this more flat. So let's pretend it's the perfect face. But yeah, now we have here, if it's Asian eye, you won't have anything here, it will be like that, and here like that. But let's this time play with this eyes. So you recognize the eyes have some kind of skin here, doesn't matter the color, but you recognize, like in the mouth, actually this texture isn't a skin. This part isn't a skin. Here and there, it isn't a skin. It's other texture made up from inside the eye, and it creates the good environment for the eye to keep being. That's how you have your eye. Doesn't matter how much time you move your eye, it won't dry. And this will protect your eyes with all the kind of water. If it's get out of the eye, in the eye, it isn't a skin. So yeah, once you recognize these parts, let's make it with colors. The up and down, and this part, and the same part like this part here. And we have like this gap between the eye and the nose. It's really important. And I will make other things about the other parts, like here in the face, in other video, but for now you recognize this point, this two, and this one. And of course you have to recognize here we will have some kind of hair here in this part, So yeah, that is eye in a really simple way. So just practice and it will be really easy. So thank you for watching me until this point, and see you in another video.